My name is Cordelia Winchester, and I never imagined that my life would end at just 32 years old. As a trauma nurse in Seattle, I had faced death countless times, but experiencing it myself shattered everything I thought I knew about life, death, and what lies beyond. My story isn't just about death, it's about what comes after and how it changed everything I thought I believed. I had always been a rational person, relying on science and measurable facts. Before that day, I would have dismissed near-death experiences as hallucinations caused by a lack of oxygen to the brain. But what happened to me went far beyond imagination. It was more vivid, more profound, and more real than anything I had ever known. It all began on an ordinary Tuesday morning. I was on shift at Harborview Medical Center, where the emergency department was unusually quiet. It was one of those rare mornings when the calm felt like the stillness before a storm. At 10:30 a.m., I was checking on a teenage patient with a broken arm. The room was filled with the rhythmic beeping of monitors, sunlight streaming through the windows, creating intricate patterns on the floor. Everything felt normal. In my personal life, things were far from settled. I had been juggling the demands of my career and personal struggles, estranged relationships, unfulfilled dreams, and the constant pressure of being the strong one for everyone else. Perhaps, in hindsight, my body had been crying out for rest long before this moment. Then, without warning, it happened. My chest felt as if it were being crushed in a vice. The pain was indescribable, sharp, overwhelming, and absolute. I reached for the wall but never made it. The last thing I heard was my patient screaming for help before everything went black. Later, I learned that I had suffered a massive pulmonary embolism. A blood clot had traveled to my lungs due to a congenital clotting disorder I never knew I had. My heart stopped, and I was clinically dead for nearly 5 minutes. But in those 5 minutes, I experienced something that felt like an eternity. The first thing I remember was a strange sensation of floating. I found myself hovering above the chaotic scene below. My lifeless body lay on the hospital floor as my colleagues, friends, and trusted companions for years fought to save me. Dr. Martinez, the chief of emergency medicine, was performing chest compressions, his usually calm face etched with tension. Sarah, my best friend since nursing school, was preparing the defibrillator, her face streaked with tears. I wanted to tell them I was okay, that the crushing pain was gone, replaced by an indescribable peace. But I couldn't speak or touch them. I could only observe, like both an actor and an audience in a surreal medical drama. I began to notice details I had never seen before, the way sunlight glinted off Sarah's hair, the precision of Dr. Martinez's movements. What struck me most was the complete absence of fear. Even as I saw my own body lying still, I felt an overwhelming sense of calm and order, as if everything was exactly as it should be. Then, suddenly, I felt myself being pulled by an invisible force. I realized I was moving through a tunnel of light. It felt gentle, like gliding on a soft current. The light was brilliant but not blinding, radiating a warmth that felt like coming home. As I moved further, my mind seemed to expand. Thoughts became clear and profound, as if I were finally seeing everything through a crystal-clear lens after years of fog. Emerging from the tunnel, I found myself in a place that earthly words cannot describe. The sky was alive with colors I had never seen before, shades that don't exist in the physical world. The air itself seemed to hum with music, a harmony so beautiful it brought tears to my non-physical eyes. I realized I no longer had a physical form. I existed as pure awareness, a state of being I had never imagined possible. That's when I saw him. Before me stood a figure radiating light, a brilliance more intense than anything I'd ever encountered, yet soft and inviting. Though he didn't resemble the traditional depictions of Jesus, I knew without a doubt that it was him. His presence was both overwhelming and intimately familiar, emanating a love so pure and unconditional that I felt completely known and completely loved. "Cordelia," he said, his voice not spoken but transmitted directly into my consciousness. "There is something you need to see." With a simple gesture, the space around us transformed. I realized I was in a realm he called the third heaven. This realm defies earthly description. It was unbound by time or space, existing across multiple dimensions that overlapped and intertwined. He explained that this was where souls came immediately after leaving the physical world, a place for healing, learning, and preparation for what comes next. I saw vast landscapes filled with breathtaking scenes, a golden garden where souls rested and meditated. Rivers of light flowed through fields of shimmering grass, reflecting the emotions of those who gazed into them. A grand hall of learning, where souls reviewed their lives, not for judgment but for growth. They could experience each action they'd taken, not just from their perspective, but through the eyes of those they had affected. This is not about punishment, he emphasized. It's about understanding. I watched as souls healed from deep wounds carried over from their earthly lives. I saw souls who had committed terrible acts surrounded by love and compassion, learning to make amends. I understood that no soul is ever beyond redemption. Divine love has the power to heal all wounds. Before I returned, I was given a mission. As I felt myself being drawn back to my body, he told me, "You must share what you have seen. Tell them that death is not the end. Love is the most powerful force in existence, and no soul is ever truly lost." I gasped awake on the hospital floor, surrounded by my colleagues. They told me my heart had stopped for nearly 5 minutes, but for me, those minutes contained an eternity. Since that day, I have not been the same. I cherish every moment of life and see every person as a soul on a journey, deserving of love and understanding. God is love. 1 John 4:8. This reminder from Scripture echoes in my heart, affirming that love is the key not just to overcoming death, but to understanding life itself. I urge you to live with love, forgiveness, and gratitude for every moment. As Jesus said, "A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another." John 13:34. And so I ask, what would your life look like if every choice was guided by love?